Moving on to Manchester City, we know that Florian Vertz flew in for some talks in Manchester, but now the club is saying that the deal would cost £300 million all in, and therefore are leaving the race. Does that number make sense, or does it seem like maybe they were denied the opportunity to sign Florian Vertz?
Yeah, it seems a bit like they're sort of saying, oh, we're making up excuses to why we didn't get him. I mean, if they're talking the total package of his wages plus the transfer fee, then I think that's what everybody would have expected over probably a 5-year contract. So, it doesn't really surprise me that's the level. I also get the feeling that Man City are also sort of playing for time around getting Champions League qualification, which is by no means certain as we sit here today. We're going to they're playing tonight, and we're going to have to see how that pans out. And I think if they do get Champions League, then you might see that Wirtz contract coming back on the table again in some offers. There's talk of him still now looking to be staying in Bayern. Even Liverpool are being mentioned as coming in there as well. I don't expect Liverpool to be the winners on that one, but I do think Man City and Bayern could still be options. And I think this just may be Man City playing for a bit of time. 3 points tonight, and then we got the last game of the season at the weekend, and then we're going to know. I mean, it's a dramatic end to the season for these Champions League places, with so much at stake for Forest and Chelsea and Newcastle as well as City. So I think that may be just stalling for time and putting in the early excuse, and then like a magician, they can unveil the player at the end when everybody thought it was gone. So let's just see. And this is one of those times when you really can't trust the media in terms of reporting on it, because inside the club is the only people that will really know what's actually going on.
And Jack Grealish is a player I feel like talking about leaving since last transfer window, but apparently there's interest from Newcastle on loan. Could they afford his wages in order to take him off from Manchester City's hands?
Yeah, I think they could probably afford the wages, but when I was looking at it, I mean, they've got Anthony Gordon on the left there, they've got Harvey Barnes that can play on the left there. Would Grealish really fit in? Now, I know the Geordie fans would absolutely love him, and he's very much a Newcastle type player, and I think they could do it. I think Jack would be probably getting in more trouble in Newcastle because it's a fabulous place to get in trouble. But nevertheless, I think Newcastle could look at him. But as I say, that would also open up the possibilities of Anthony Gordon perhaps going to Liverpool, which has often been rumoured. And that could be one situation where I could see Grealish going, because then if the Anthony Gordon slot opens up, that would open up not only the wages, but there'd be some money in the Newcastle coffers as well. So I think, as usual, there's a whole lot of dominoes that have to fall in all these deals. And when the first one starts, then a whole sequence of moves starts to happen. But I'll stress it, I've never seen a transfer window that I've seen ready to burst into action with so many options and so many teams needing to do things and with money. So, it's going to be fabulous. And it's really, my phone's been ringing a lot with different bits of information already. But it's early, and we'll just have to see what really comes through. But I know that with the window starting early this year, those dominoes are going to start to fall pretty quickly. And as all clubs know, and as I know from my own experience, you really do try and get your business done as quickly as you can do, rather than waiting to be in the last set of dominoes that are falling towards the end of the transfer window. So everybody should hopefully try and get things started as soon as possible. And I expect nobody to really sit on the fence and deals to get done quicker than before.
And Manchester City spent big money this January, but signings like Kusanov, Gonzalez, they've barely been featuring over the past 6 matches. I think it's like 5 minutes combined between the two of them. Did they make a big mistake in their spending this January, and will it hurt them this summer?
It's hard to criticise. I mean, they came in January, as you said, and that's always a difficult time to come across. I think Kuzmanov needs to settle in the Premier League a bit more. I think that, I think Pep realised as the season got on and they were getting to this sort of trough a little bit and they were having some bad results, I think he went back to sort of tried and trusted players that understood the Premiership. And I think both of them need a bit of time in the squad to understand the Premiership. And I think an off-season will really help them. So I don't think necessarily they're a mistake. I think that they've just probably been pushed in at the wrong time with the squad not performing as well. And I think they're going to be okay, is my opinion. So I don't think necessarily mistakes.
And Man City will face no action over alleged breaches of the EU competition law. Does that seem like the right ruling as they were looking into both City and PSG?
Yeah, it was. It was City and PSG both. I mean, the supposed charge was that they were using state funds from their own states, like PSG from Qatar, and of course Man City from Abu Dhabi, and the EU, for whatever reason, did not decide to proceed with those charges. Now, it could be that they're very selective on the cases they pick to go after with this system, because I think they've got limited budgets in this particular area of application of EU law. So they tend to look for industries that can show consistent processes of this sort of thing. Not to say that football could also become consistent, but I don't think it was such a pressing need right now, and so it did not meet that test to go forward. So yes, they've been dropped, and but I think it's something that may come back in the next 4 or 5 years, if we see the emergence of Saudi, coming more and more states coming involved in different things. It's something that can always be, there's sort of been a shot across the bows, so to speak. So let's just wait and see, but certainly they're both in the clear at the moment.